Hello, I'm Roger Shawman, Senior Law Clerk at Gluckstein Lawyers. I did not use ChatGPT for this presentation, actually introduction of our next speaker, Mr. Richard Halpin. So there are masters. Oh, and let me just say, it's lovely to see you all in person, not on the screens. And usually I'm in pajamas at this time, but with a suit and shirt on. There are masters in various fields of endeavors, including law, medicine, science, music, art, and chess. The definition of mastery is a comprehensive knowledge in a subject or accomplishment. There may be many who achieve mastery of their respective professions and fields. Then there are the grandmasters. Richard Halpin is a grandmaster in the field of obstetrics and neonatal medicine and neonatal and obstetrical litigation. His expertise extends to liability issues, causation, damages, the elements of all of these cases. Richard's attention to detail is unparalleled. I have observed this over the past 3 years working with him. This morning he is presenting on the preparation of Kernicertus cases. These are the most extremely complex cases probably in the field of neonatal medicine. And Richard has the highest level of neonatal knowledge and expertise. In my view, his expertise and knowledge is unsurpassed. I present you with Richard, who's going to provide this next presentation. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Thank you very much.
Hello. Well, thanks, Roger. That was completely embarrassing. I am absolutely not going to be able to meet expectations here. The last question that was asked of Charles, I think, was a very good question about whether the failure to use AI might be seen as a breach of the standard of care. We have a case where, I think it's a great question, we have a case where one of the defendant doctors consulted Dr. Google about an essential issue in our case, and the opposite occurred. In other words, it was very embarrassing for the doctor to have consulted Dr. Google, not recognizing the risks that poses in not also turning to leading medical literature and other things that were available to the doctor. And I think the result is liability. So it's a two-edged sword, I think, when we come to AI. Does it set the standard of care, or do you have to recognize the problems with AI before you consult Dr. Google or AI or ChatGPT, or all this stuff is beyond me. We have tried in what I do to use artificial intelligence to create what I'm going to show you I create in my cases, and so far it hasn't worked. So I still have a job for a couple of weeks. So I'm going to talk about the complex medical malpractice case, and I guess we don't have to modify the words medical malpractice by complex because they're all complex. But I'm going to talk about Kernicertus, but you can substitute any condition for medical condition for Kernicertus. I'm just using this as an example because it's something that we work on, but any medical condition could be substituted for Kernicertus. The reason I'm using Kernicertus is I know everybody in the room knows everything there is to know about Kernicertus, so we're all familiar with it, so that won't be a problem. So, you can imagine young parents come into your office and they say, my baby has Kernicertus, can you help me out with my case? Well, what do you say? Does it itch? What's the problem? Well, you need to know what Kernicertus is if you're going to service that client. So what is Kernicertus? Kern refers to the deep nuclei of the brain. It's the area of the brain that gets injured when bilirubin, this has to do with jaundice, so newborns with jaundice, when bilirubin is elevated, babies turn yellow, they're jaundiced, bilirubin is elevated, If the bilirubin penetrates the brain, it affects a certain area of the brain in the deep gray nucleus of the brain, and that's where Kern comes from. And icterus has to do with yellow. It just means yellow, so yellow staining. So you get this yellow staining to this area of the brain. And I think that when these clients come to see you, I think you're going to want to know something about the condition about which they complain. So all these cases are complex, they're all expensive to prosecute, and they all take a long